We've partnered with Bethesda Game Studios to build a filming model of the Frontier ship from their game Starfield. The tested team and I have had so much fun on this project, a celebration of exactly the kind of practical effects filmmaking we all love. On the series finale, we take the Frontier ship model down to Los Angeles to be filmed on a virtual production stage with motion control. Okay, let's dive in. All right, it's finally here. This is the day we are filming the ship today. We have driven it down to Los Angeles, where I am right now at Orbital Virtual Studios, and we are outside stage one. We're about to take advantage of some of their really cool toys. Come on. This is amazing technology. This is the first time I've been on a set like this. That is a cyclorama that is itself a super high resolution LED screen. And creating virtual backgrounds for actors has powered some brand newest advances in special effects happening all over streaming and movies. And normally they would call up an impossible background and put an actor in front of it. But we've brought a ship down, and that's normally used for a motion control type shot. I am not sure if anyone has combined a miniature shot with a virtual screen background, but that is what we're here to do today. We might be braving new ground. It's hard to say, but really, we're here to play with some of these amazing toys they have here at Orbit. Dude, thank you so much for coming out to the set, man.
That's good to see you.
We are on a motion control stage.
I know.
Or a motion control-ish stage.
Yes.
Come check out the model.
Pretty amazing.
Here she is.
Wow.
Yeah.
Beautiful.
All resin printed.
Uh-huh.
They gave us these assets, and we were able to actually choose from some because these are configurable in-game. So we actually had a lot of latitude, which was nice. We didn't have to hit some perfect thing that they, you know what I mean? It was like we got to make some of our own painting choices.
That's really cool.
It's
amazing. It's
also really fun to see a ship on an arm again.
I know. It's so rare these days, right? What I see, there's some wires and stuff. What kind of electrical you have?
So Mel has wired it up with electrical for cockpit. There's landing lights. There's engine lights. They have also written a program so that they pulse, they flicker.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, I was actually telling Mel about Grant's beautiful motion control nacelles for Galaxy Quest and how that was like brand new when we were first doing that.
Yeah.
So that's in here. I mean,
amazing.
it's all in here. The main sections are held on magnetically.
Oh, wow.
So it's very quick to configure. We're just about to do a landing gear replacement because we're doing a flying shot and it shouldn't have the landing gear down. But
cool.
It's also really fun looking in the camera here because we haven't locked this shot yet. Mm-hmm. And it still looks like a model. And there's like, it's those final steps once you're on stage of like getting that scale right.
Yeah, it's tough. There's a lot of tricks.
I'm a veteran of about a dozen long motion control shoots, but you're a veteran of like many
Maybe
more.
Hundreds.
I'm curious, like when you walk on and you look at something like this, what are the first things your eyes go to?
I always think about the lighting.
Yeah.
You know, it's so interesting to me when you're working with something like this because what you see in person is never what you see on the screen.
Nothing
at all.
Yeah.
Because you need that extended focal length, you end up with a lot of light. And I can't tell you how many times I look at a model in person, it just looks like it's being blasted with light, and there's no nuance to it at all. It's just white. And then you look on the monitor or you look at film, and you've got these beautiful hits of light and the little kicks and all the stuff that gives it scale.
The shape is apparent.
Yeah. Yeah, and moving shots like this are beautiful because you get the reflection value of the different surfaces. Like this model is perfect for photography because it's got so many round surfaces,
compound
and
curves, yeah.
undercuts, and yeah.
And talking to other folks who do motion control, what I found out is that when there's a CG ship shot, everyone argues over the reflections, over the specular lighting on the sides, because in CG they're not sure it's right, and when it's a real model, they are.
It is the thing that sells it the most, I feel like.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm curious about painting to camera, because that's one of my favorite parts, is looking at the shot and knowing what sort of stuff do you look for?
Oh man, it's all about the monitor. So, well, especially now in the age of digital, you can go over to the monitor and you look at the monitor and you just look for if something kicks just pure white, and you have to knock it down.
Right.
You know, and then you have to look at it and see if there's anything that's not. If it goes all black, obviously you want to bring that up a little bit.
Yeah.
So it's just like white balancing video, but you're doing it on an actual surface.
We have to clear here so they can replace the landing gear, but let's reconvene over this when the shot's ready and take a look at it.
Okay, sounds great.
Sean, I thought your head was an asteroid. As it passes the planet, it could use a little more kick. I like the blue, but its form sort of starts to get lost.
But you know how there's all these cracks and crevices we were talking about earlier, all this detail in here, lots of places for shadow. If we get a little bit more of the sunlight on some of that area as it rotates around, you get all that shadow play.
Yeah.
See, the white light just kisses it.
Right there. We think we definitely return a little bit of level back in there.
So, this is where I feel like we could use a fill.
The light is, yeah, see it there.
Oh, yeah. All right.
All right, I think we are ready to do one last look on the movement with all the notes.
Okay, and then once we're happy with the movement, I would love to do just a last looks pass on weathering and stuff, on details, you know.
Stuff.
All the light and the dark values across the sides is fantastic.
It looks amazing.
Yeah, just like, and
So we're gonna
this looks great. We could do a little more, maybe multo kick on the edges of that landing gear.
They can do it now.
Yeah, I like the ones that it's picking up.
Yeah,
there.
right. It's giving you something.
Same with that. Ooh.
Yeah, that's the popsicle stick. All right, let's give it a shot.
That's great.
We got everything in there. Kitchen sink. That was fun.
Thanks, Fon.
Yeah.
Action.
Oh yeah.
See the lines
Yep,
right there.
yeah.
Noise. I just tell the norm.
All right, let's
That's the first time I didn't do it.
do a playback while we prepare for the play.
Yes, let's do a playback. Yes. So I have this question for you. I've been thinking about this.
Yeah.
What are we optimizing for when we're making these final tweaks of the lighting and the movement and the detail painting? I think it's easy as for like a young filmmaker to be watching this and being like, what are they making these calls based on? What do you think it is?
I think some of that is just the nuance of having done this a lot.
Yeah.
And you just start to see things that the normal viewer wouldn't see. I always go back to something someone said to me early in my career, and that is, there are things that you do on a miniature that you would miss if they weren't there, but you wouldn't necessarily notice that they are there. Does that make sense?
Yeah. And so frequently that's about breaking up wide planes.
Yeah.
That real life has very few wide swaths of unbroken flatness. I'm always...
It is a delicate balance, though, because if you destroy some of those wide swaths, then it just becomes a jumbled mess of greebles, you know?
And this is where I think what our institutional knowledge has been based on is clarity. Because most of the shots we've ever worked on a MoCo stage are like 30 frames.
Right.
110 frames, really, really short bulleted things. So all the information that's happening has to happen. It has to smack me across my eyes instantly.
Yes.
And that's what, like when we added the kick light, I just was noticing that when it was out of frame for part of the shot and then we brought it into frame, it instantly felt like a bigger budget movie.
Yes.
And it was like, now I see this ship and I don't lose track of it.
Well, and it was at the key part of this scene, and that's as the sun wraps around the ship and starts to kiss the back of the ship here.
It's such a dramatic moment.
If you don't get this, then you lose the physicality of this and its interaction with the lighting.
I also really like the way the screen is reflecting off the model and colors from the screen are dynamically hitting the model.
I was just about to say, this is the reason that you shoot on an LED wall.
Because you couldn't composite that color in.
You can't. No, all of that lighting interaction, that pink color that you get at the bottom of this ship, all those light kicks are what you get from shooting that in this environment. It's the same reason they use it in regular production with actors. You get all that light interaction.
I also love that we're able to shoot in this method with all the lights live, that we're not doing multiple passes for different lighting scenarios the way you normally would on a motion control. And I'm reminded that when Nolan did Interstellar, he did all of his ship miniatures in single passes.
Yeah.
He wanted that all in camera.
Yeah. Requires a lot of light.
It's
a lot of light.
But
I've been on those sets before where the model actually starts to smoke from all the heat.
But there's nothing like it all being in camera.
No. I mean, it's again, back to the LED wall. This is why you do it, because what you see is what you get for the most part. Yeah. Which is not what you get when you shoot on a green screen or a blue screen.
Well, it's like if you look at old composited special effects from sci-fi movies from the mid to late 80s, it often looks like ships have a glow around them. And that's literally just someone lazily not worrying about a key light in a composite.
Right? Or maybe a way to mask the composite.
Oh, right, to help them. Yes, absolutely. Yeah, I love that after all these years, we're still just coating the C-stands with green tape.
Green tape.
Yep.
Yeah.
Nothing's better. It's a lovely process. I'm really, really digging it. I can't wait to see how it comes out of the edit.
I want to do more. A lot more. This is totally addictive.
Hey, now you have some of the most institutional knowledge about this process of anybody.
It's weird to think, but yeah, I guess so.
AJ, tell me where we are. Tell me about Orbital Virtual Studios.
Yes, so this is Orbital Studios, downtown Los Angeles.
Yeah.
We learned about virtual production as it was sort of coming to its fruition and just decided, hey, maybe we can make these tools better for filmmakers. And so we just started testing things and finding better products and helping companies build better products so that when we show up on set, we have things we can really use.
Okay, just so like for my grandmother's not alive, but if she was watching, how do you explain what virtual production is to the layperson?
That's a tough one.
Because we're on a regular soundstage. It feels like a kind of a normal soundstage to me.
Yes. So the big difference, obviously, is this big, huge wall of LEDs.
Right.
Right? And what we're doing now is we're saying we can put a three-dimensional set on that LED wall, which will track to the camera in 3 dimensions as though you're in that physical space.
So that it's not just that you can put a picture on the wall that's at a high enough resolution and with a lack of flicker, it can be exposed onto a camera. What you're saying is you can actually create a virtual set that's dynamic and moves to the camera.
Exactly.
So it really is a mix of a virtual and an actual in real time.
Absolutely. And in fact, you can even have 3D characters in there that are being operated by people out here.
Oh, no way.
It's insane. Yeah.
Tell me about the resolutions. I would assume that there's lots of rapid iteration happening within these screens. I toured around the world with the video wall behind me at, I think, 10 times the resolution of this. I mean, I think they were big, big pixels.
Yes.
These are tiny now.
Very, very tiny. And that's one of the things that we've helped be a proponent of.
Oh, really?
Yeah, because some of the earlier projects like The Mandalorian that started with this stuff and invented this stuff, basically, they were dealing with concert or touring panels. And so the camera had to be very far away or you start getting moire or other kind of
so there are
flicker issues.
restrictions based on the resolution about how about where you place your camera and how you can shoot.
Yeah. And so what we said is let's get a really fine pixel pitch. So the pitch is actually the distance between the center of the pixels.
Okay, and you've got a panel here. Can we pull this up and talk about it?
Absolutely. So this is one of our remote panels. This is made by Planar.
Yeah.
This is a 1.9 millimeter pitch.
1.9. So that means that the center of every pixel is just slightly less than 2 millimeters from its neighbor.
Exactly.
Okay.
And once you get below 2 millimeters, you get a lot less moire possibilities. And so you can move the camera around a lot more inside the space than you could with a wider pitch.
And so this is literally like a television screen with no bezel, that it is absolutely a zero edge, and these butt up against each other seamlessly. Just, it strikes me that would take weeks to set up, but it doesn't.
It doesn't. Amazingly, you know, with such a low tolerance, you're talking about 1 millimeter or 2 of tolerance. And not only that, they're super easy to use. So like, let's say a pixel goes bad on you in the middle of a shoot.
Yeah.
These are just magnetic. They pop right off, and you can just replace a piece. You don't even have to turn it off.
Dude.
So I can do it on that wall too with a magnet.
So there's another aspect to this that I really wanted to talk about. You said helping companies make their products for sets like these better. So am I right? This is like a wild west where there's different makers of these, different makers of the virtual software, different makers of the camera interfaces, and they're all sort of competing and bringing new products to fore. You guys are trying to be a locus for that and a development center for that.
Yeah, the thing about all these companies, none of them are filmmakers.
Right.
And so it's one of those things where you can let the tech develop as it's going to develop, or you can speak your voice and say, look, I am a filmmaker and this is what I want.
Right.
We will buy these and we will use these if you make them for us.
And filmmakers have really specific needs that these tech companies might not understand.
Exactly.
Needs in terms of light balance, in terms of repeatability. I mean, I was wondering the other day about your workflow for color balance. Because even though we can post-process everything digitally, I'm sure that you have plenty of DPs that want a perfect color balance in the room.
Yes, and that's a real challenge.
I'll bet.
Because these LEDs are RGB, right? And so they're not producing a full spectrum of color. The thing that you're trying to do in a set like this is you're trying to get whatever the output of the LED is to match what the sensor wants to see for each color, the sensor of the camera.
Okay.
So it depends on the camera, depends on the LED, and basically you have to calibrate them to work together.
Right. Does aspects of your own use of this technology surprise you on a daily basis?
Absolutely. I mean, some of the things that hit us kind of early on when we were limited in size, our first stage was at Fon Studios. It was a much smaller wall.
Right.
And we were trying to do a scene with a car. And there's not as much room in there, and I don't have money for a techno crane, right?
Yeah.
And we're trying to get this shot that's looking through the driver's side window and then comes around to the front window. But the wall's not big enough to do that. But then you think to yourself, I don't have to necessarily move the camera if I can move the universe.
Right.
So we put the car on a turntable and track the turntable to the universe, which is on the wall, and move the car and the universe together.
That's thrilling.
And once you realize you can move the universe, you can do anything.
How many shots have you done like the one we've brought you? A miniature ship in a sort of a motion control arm with a virtual background?
Well, I would say probably 0. Most people don't even think to do this because most LED stages are still using that wider pixel pitch.
Right.
Which means the camera has to be really far away. And
So the minimum distance from objects and camera is really significant.
Exactly. And so when you're talking about miniatures, where all the experts are saying, everything needs to be in focus.
Yeah.
That's a real problem for most LED walls. And in this case, it's not.
Amazing. The term gets bandied around a lot at this around these new technologies that make such bigger shots accessible at a much lower cost and time factor, that there's a democratizing effect, that it's allowing more and more people to explore really more radical stuff in a film frame. Do you feel like that?
Absolutely. And beyond that, the software itself that you start with, like Unreal Engine or Unity, you're creating a document for production that everyone can get their hands on, everyone can put their notes on. So, the production designer who's normally off the show by the time visual effects starts, now they're having a say in what's going to be what was traditionally on a green screen is now their set.
And they can actually be modifying and working with that set in real time as you're actually using that set.
And all through the pre-production process, it's a way to get all the production department heads on the same page.
Yeah. Thank you so much for letting us come and play. We've been wanting to play on one of these for years, and we're really psyched about this. Thank you.
It's exciting having you here. So.
Okay, so we're trying to find the shot right now. This is the sunset shot of the ship entering frame and leaving. And up till now, I've been telling you that there's two moving elements. There's the ship on a robot arm, and then there's the camera on a motorized dolly. But in this shot, there's a third element, and that is we're actually able to animate the sky. And this strikes me as the beginning of a total freaking game changer for this technology, because we might be able to give that movement a forward movement in addition to pushing the camera in and having the ship move. That's a level of dynamism to get in camera for a single shot that's like unthinkable only recently. So what do you think, given what you've been seeing?
It's not going to sway, so maybe we'll run through it one more time.
Okay.
Hey, Dan?
The only issue I have, unless we reverse this shot, is that if it's this way, it's almost the same shot as the other one.
As the one that was flying.
Directional.
And I don't have a problem with that necessarily, and it's not required that it be a different shot. So if it lifts out and it's turning this way, then when we cut to this and it's turning the opposite way, it'll be kind of dynamic.
So you mean starting like this?
So it's coming in like this profile, and then as it's leaving, it's turning counterclockwise.
Okay.
And then that means it's turning towards this position. What do you think?
Yeah, so that.
All
right.
So we're still trying to find our shot, and it's really about balancing all the elements that we'd like. We want to see the ship really clearly. We want the shot to be dynamic. And we're running into the limits of this technology. The robot arm lacks a little bit of movement finesse in the finer grades. That's not to say that it can't do that, just that it's not feasible for us to get that programming done within our time confines today. This actually is a mirror for any effect shot ever. You are always working against your equipment, trying to lop branches off your decision tree to get to a result that you needed to get to by the end of the day. So we're just continually trying different things, trying to balance the robot arm plus the Unreal Engine plus the camera's movement to get something that feels dynamic. And again, it's not what we started out intending to get, but it's all about figuring out what the art of the possible is. Give me a smoke machine. Oh.
That exit's great.
That exit is really great.
I think once the clouds are going, once a little bit of camera shake is in there, it'll sell the kind of static.
Is the camera going to move at all, or is it going to
The camera is going to
push in a little?
We're going to push in.
Okay, and the clouds will move a little bit.
The clouds will be moving past.
That
it.
exit's perfect.
Great,
Yeah, let's do it.
All right.
Great. I like that.
That's a great move, yeah.
Joey?
Yeah, good.
I like that. You know what I think it needs? I think it needs a little smoke.
Ready, and 3, 2, 1, action.
How does smoke play?
Don't know. Can we see playback?
Can we play back up, please? That looked badass.
Really?
Yeah.
It definitely helps.
The timing you guys got was really good too.
And playback is up. All right, we got playback.
Okay, playback. Yeah.
All right. That's great. I think we could be closer, Joey.
Maybe be closer and maybe even us lower a little bit as it's coming up.
Yep. I was giving it some extra batches of clouds.
Well, just also across the ship as it does. Lighting-wise, this would feel more like it's
Look
in.
at that bottom side fill, a little warmer.
Just pushing the color of the light.
Right.
A little redder.
Just a little, a little warmer.
And then I think you and I on smoke could be another 2 feet back.
Because that's one of the things that really sold is what you did on that last shot was so beautiful because it matched the screen.
What's funny about this process is the point at which you stop mucking with your shot is really sort of arbitrary. You could keep going for days or months if you really wanted to find that perfect sweet spot. And then really spending time on this stage trying to solve these problems is giving me a great insight into how hard it is to be a director directing detailed effects, because there's so many elements that have to be balanced. And when they work all in concert, man, it's the best thing ever. But when they don't, boy, does it suck. It's a lot of pressure.
Things rolling. And 3, 2, 1, action.
and then
Yeah,
a little bit on the way out.
I like that.
that's lovely. That may be the best we can
Maybe.
get.
Since we're already set.
We can all
Nice.
settle and...
I'm happy to lock that.
All right, cool. Yeah.
Yeah, and then we move on to the jungle.
Yeah.
The easy shot.
That's great.
Yeah. What do you think about the light?
Oh, I love this now. Yeah. It was a little cool when we first started setting up. This kind of matches the environment more. Feels like it exists within that space.
I think you were right too, that warming that up helps a lot bring the ship into the physical space of the background.
Well, just think about what that environment must be like. It's like a lot of ambient, warm glow.
Right.
If you were actually in the space.
And we have clouds in the way, and that means that there's going to be a lot of stuff for light to bounce off of, right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Even the camera now looks like it's in the environment.
Yeah, it really does. Just warming that light up. I feel like the detailing all comes across really nicely.
Yeah, it's beautiful.
I also like that you're kind of getting an impression of the ship here, and then in the next shot, the first one we shot, where you see the sunlight kick across the side, you get all this extra detail. So it'll be a really nice progression. Can I tell you, I painted the yellow thing here, and I just love how it looks in the light.
Oh, the contrast. is
So
great.
much fun.
Yeah, it's beautiful. One of my favorite things about miniatures that you've done here as well is when you play with the different specularity
Yeah, yep.
of finishes. So you have some flat finishes, but you also have some semi-glosses.
Yeah. I love that too. That's one of
Yeah.
one of those key things from ILM that blew my mind wide open.
Right. Yes.
We're cutting friskets of just semi-gloss
Yeah.
for paneling.
Yeah. Yeah, it really adds a lot.
It's crazy. And it's all subliminal too.
Oh, yeah.
If I had my druthers, if we had another day, I'd be adding some more semi-gloss specular panels around.
Yeah, there's that saying that's actually, its origins were in paint, but I use it for miniatures, and I heard it somewhere.
Yeah.
But it's like a miniature is never finished, it's abandoned.
Yes, 100%.
You absolutely can never end at a place where you would consider it 100% done.
No.
You
And if
just
you
have
got
to-
it aesthetically perfect, the wiring's shit.
It's true. The lighting really plays well in here,
It
too.
really does. I feel like this one's right. If Joey's happy with it, I love it.
And I like the way it leaves frame.
Yeah, it pushes, and
Rotates
you
out.
feel that it's a thrust coming from those. When he
Yeah.
adds that animation, that'll be really nice.
Yeah. You get just a little kick of it.
Uh-huh.
Very cool. I'd say this is a success.
Dude, do you think this is helping? Because you do these kind of shoots all the time. Is this helping? Is this helping you with institutional knowledge?
Absolutely.
Oh, good.
Yeah, absolutely. No, this has been on my bucket list for quite a while.
To try this out.
To shoot a miniature on a MoCo rig in front of an LED wall, specifically. Because I've got a weird bucket list. But it is all in an effort to gain the knowledge. So when you work on a production, you walk on set and you know exactly what you're doing,
Right.
You don't have to do so much experimentation.
Which
I created a saying quite a while ago: is fail in private.
Yeah, totally.
So I do a lot of experimentation, way ahead of
yeah,
anything that I would do for a client. And this is one of those things where we can, take the time to test it, figure some things out, understand the nuance, and then when we take this to a client, it will be more of a known quantity.
It's lovely. Lovely.
Yeah.
I mean, and the fact that we've got, the robot arm's moving, the camera's moving, the background is moving, and we've got live smoke. Like, it's a thrilling amalgam of the old and new.
Yes.
And it's definitely a Thunderbird's kind of feel.
Yeah,
I can't wait to see this after Joey's had his hands on it in the edit suite.
So much of what we do on the practical side works hand in hand with the CG department these days. That I always get really excited when I see something like this. You look at it, you're like, it needs that little something else, and I feel like that's where that marriage is really, really good, because you hand the CG department something beautiful, interacts with light, it's in the environment, you give them so much to add realism to the shot, because you don't have to make it look real, it is real.
Yeah.
But then they can push it that little bit further.
Oh, that's
and
neat.
Really, really cement it in reality, or add the storytelling needed.
I love that. I love that it's coming back around. Yeah.
It's a good template for what's to come,
We're on our last shot. We only have about an hour left today. And I love doing this. Obviously, I love doing this because I love the history of film and I love special effects. But as a generalist who gravitated into this industry, this is such a soup to nuts industry in that it uses everything. And let's crawl over what we have done so far. It started out with art directors and virtual cinematographers working on in-game assets. They gave those to us. We 3D printed them with a resin printer and scratch built some pieces of that model. We then painted it with acrylics, with rattle cans, with airbrushes, with every kind of paint we have in the shop. And then we brought it here and we've got roboticists and we're using the newest procedural generation CG 3D backgrounds at the same time as we're using standard old film lights that have been in service in this industry for over 100 years. Like I said, it is a soup to nuts discipline, special effects is, and I feel like we've used all the nuts today. It's a great sundae. Ice cream sundae with nuts on it?
I could do some.
I love the idea of seeing these first, and you don't know what you're looking at.
Yeah, and then you see it.
And then it's getting clear for the other shots.
The clouds will be its sort of reveal. So we essentially need the ship lower.
Yep.
And then if we can bring the environment higher. Yeah, bring the environment higher, and then if the ship should come up higher, and this just ends up.
So what we're going to do is you have your favorite accessory. Yeah. Let's just see what it looks like if you shove it all the way in there.
Yeah.
And let's just let it sit in there.
I would say the same inside the thrusters as well. You can shove. Oh yeah.
Action. Yeah.
bottom thrusters look nice with that smoke.
I feel that was really neat.
Joey?
Joey?
One more?
Yeah, and honestly, it could also, some atmosphere haze in general would be great too.
You want to get a second one?
Give it a little more oomph on that one, a little more smoke.
You want to have a secondary smoke? Just,
No, I'll just give you a little more and then I'll smoke it up.
The fan, I think, is.
Oh, yeah. All right, and then you're all done fanning.
Adam, you're still going to go in there.
Yep. Okay.
Yeah, the fan blowing by. Look great.
That looks like it just landed. Oh, yeah!
There's something there.
Can we watch again?
I'm really surprised how great that felt. That's great.
Push. That's great.
Yep.
Great. The lights on.
That feels... Joey?
Oh, hear about that. I think that's a take. That's a wrap.
Yay! Guys, this couldn't have been more fun. What a pleasure. Thanks for letting us come and play with your toys.
Anytime.
And, dude, this has been so awesome. For viewers who don't know, Fon and I have been working together now for well over 25 years.
Yeah.
We cut our teeth together building our own small shops at the same point in the late 90s. And this has been like a kind of a fantasy camp day, right? Like all the stuff that we have done for years,
Yes.
but with no terrible clients. We're the terrible clients.
Yes.
How's this been?
The nostalgia factor has been through the roof. It's been so much fun. It's always a pleasure to see you, of course.
Indeed.
And now I have to buy all these cool tools that you showed me today, which happens every time we get together.
I had the same thing in your shop. I left with at least 4 things to go purchase.
This has been going on for decades. Anyway, but no, this was amazing fun and definitely like a bucket list thing.
Well, I also
know?
feel like you, of all the folks here, bridge these divides a whole bunch. And so I'm really looking forward to when you're able to convince the next director you're working with to try a live MoCo shot.
Well, yeah, and now we have a little more to share and
Yeah.
a lot more knowledge. Being able to experiment with this stuff has been great.
Thank you so much for coming in and helping us out today and giving us your expertise. It is always
Absolutely
a
my pleasure, and I mean that.
Sincerely, my brother.
Thank you guys so much for watching. We could not be more happy with this series and with how the ship came out and specifically your responses to the series. Thank you. And we've been hearing your comments about wanting one of these for yourself to paint. And I am delighted to announce that Bethesda has decided to release a 3D print file so you can make a version of the Frontier yourself. It won't be quite this large, and we are still working on it, but for more details, stay tuned to this channel in the coming weeks. And again, thank you guys.